Thank you for being here. My name is Elo-Rivera. I proudly serve as the council member for San Diego's 9th Council District, and I am honored to serve as the chair of the Select Committee on Addressing Cost of Living here at the City of San Diego. Today, I'm proud to stand with County Vice Chair Monica Montgomery Steppe, Alliance San Diego, the Legal Aid Society of San Diego, and our community partners as we announce a joint city-county effort to bring more fairness, transparency, and accountability to San Diego's rental housing market. Every single day, San Diegans are working hard to make ends meet. Nearly half of our residents rent their homes, and far too many of them face the financial uncertainty and in some cases terror because of hidden or excessive rental fees. These quote-unquote junk fees can add hundreds of dollars to a family's housing costs that are often unexpected and very unclear. Today's efforts are about addressing that problem together. It's about ensuring renters know what they're paying for and that housing remains stable and predictable. The city and county of San Diego have a shared responsibility to make sure our region works for the people who live and work here. This partnership is a reflection of that commitment, bringing together local government, legal advocates, and community organizations to protect renters and promote fairness across jurisdictions. Housing is not just about rent or square footage. It's certainly not just about profit. It's about stability, it's about dignity, and the ability to build a life and a future in our community. By increasing transparency and preventing exploitation, we're taking an important step toward a housing system that serves people first. I'm honored to be joined by partners who share that vision. And speaking of being honored to be joined by a partner, I want to introduce my friend and former colleague here on the City Council, County Supervisor and Vice Chair Monica Montgomery Steppe, whose leadership continues to advance fairness and equity for San Diegans across our region. Supervisor?
Thank you so very much, Councilmember. It's so good to be with you this morning and good to be with everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being here. As mentioned, my name is Monica Montgomery Steppe, and I have the honor of serving as Vice Chair of the County Board of Supervisors. It feels kind of good to be back at the city for something so positive, especially in collaboration with one of my wonderful colleagues here and friend, Elo-Rivera, as we come together to stand up for residents across our region. As you heard from the council member, we are collaborating on a proposal that is one of the intersections of housing stability and fairness. Junk fees are the hidden and unfair charges that make housing less affordable and less transparent for thousands of renters throughout our region. These superfluous fees include charges for basic services that make homes livable, such as pest control and trash collection. Families are also forced to pay monthly pet fees on top of their rent, further burdening income that is already stretched thin. This proposal aims to cap rental fees at no more than 5% of the monthly rent. But we're also seeking to fully eliminate monthly pet fees as part of any rental agreement. Let's be clear. These so-called junk fees disproportionately impact the very families who can least afford them. Low-income renters, working families, and particularly communities of color who already face systemic barriers in our housing market. Application processing fees, convenience charges for online rent payments, or inflated costs for basic maintenance are expenses that too often push working families to the brink. When families are hit with hidden costs, they are forced to make impossible choices between rent and groceries or gas and the next payment. That's not fair, and it's not who we want to be as a region. My commitment to the county, my commitment at the county to housing justice and economic equity is unwavering. But to make that commitment a reality, we need consistency and collaboration. The challenges renters face are regional problems that require regional action. This is a regional challenge, and it demands regional solutions. That is why this city-county collaboration today is so important. We must align our policies so that renters have equal protections and landlords have clear, fair, and consistent rules. Every family, no matter what city or neighborhood they live in, deserves the same basic fairness and clarity when they rent a home. I also want to be clear that this in no way seeks to target or single out landlords. I believe that it is a fair practice that can be beneficial to everyone who wants to live and thrive in our region. Fairness and transparency help renters and property owners by creating trust and stability in our housing system. And stable housing is foundational to addressing our region's reputation as one of the most expensive places to live for renters in the United States. This ordinance tells our residents that we see them, we hear them, and that we are taking action to protect them from practices that make it harder to stay housed. With these policies, we have the opportunity to show up for residents in a meaningful way, just like local organizations that are here with us today doing the hard work of keeping folks housed. And with that, I want to introduce our next speaker, Elo-Rivera, who is the Director of Housing Justice Collaborative at Legal Aid of San Diego.
Good morning. My name is Elo-Rivera, and I am proud to stand here today on behalf of the Legal Aid Society of San Diego. I would like to thank Councilmember Elo-Rivera, Supervisor Montgomery Steppe, and Supervisor Aguirre for collaborating to address the junk fee crisis tenants are facing in San Diego. We're here because nearly half of San Diego are renters, and far too many are struggling not only to pay rent, but with a growing list of hidden and excessive fees that make housing even more unaffordable. These so-called junk fees exploit legal loopholes in state law, allowing landlords to tack on arbitrary charges from excessive late fees to unnecessary add-ons for basic services like trash valet. By classifying them as fees, landlords evade rent increase limits imposed by state law in order to siphon more money from tenants to maximize shareholder wealth. These fees are often not disclosed upfront and are hidden in the 100-plus pages of their leases, making it nearly impossible for renters to budget or plan for the true cost of housing. For families living paycheck to paycheck, an unexpected fee can be the difference between housing stability and homelessness. This ordinance provides clarity, enforceability, and accountability that renters deserve. It caps rent fees beyond monthly rent and bans exploitive charges for essential habitability services like pest control, and requires landlords to fully disclose all costs in the listings and in the lease agreements. With these reforms, renters will know exactly what they're paying for, and landlords will be held to a clear and enforceable standard. At the Legal Aid Society of San Diego, our mission is to prevent homelessness by providing wraparound holistic services and enforcing laws to protect the most vulnerable from exploitation. What we are seeing are landlords charge for fees to cover things that they are legally responsible for, such as monthly pest control fees, or demanding that their tenants pay for monthly insurance policies that protect the landlord. We have seen firsthand how these hidden fees push families to the brink and are designed to leech off tenants. The rent ledgers we see today have 5+ monthly charges a month that often result in complex ledgers that confuse tenants. You shouldn't need an MBA or an accounting degree to decipher your own ledger. By closing these loopholes and demanding transparency, we're building a fair and more stable housing market for everyone in San Diego. Thank you.
All right, next up, we're going to have Jesse Schmitty from Alliance San Diego.
Good morning. My name is Jesse Schmitty, State Policy Manager for Alliance San Diego, and a member of the Coalition for Equitable Development. Our coalition advocates for policies that prevent displacement while ensuring every resident has equal access to affordable, safe, and sustainable housing. Today's ordinance is about more than fees. It's about fairness. It's about making sure housing policy in San Diego puts people first, not profits. For too long, renters have been hit with surprise junk fees. These make housing more expensive and less predictable. This measure is just one step towards restoring transparency, accountability, and trust within our housing system. When we talk about housing affordability, we're also talking about economic justice. Every hidden charge, whether for mail, delivery, trash, or administrative processing, is just another barrier for hardworking San Diego families trying to stay afloat in an already unaffordable city. For many households, these junk fees can be the difference between stability and displacement. The framework of this ordinance helps level the playing field by ensuring renters know exactly what they're paying for and why. This is how we move towards a San Diego where everyone can afford to live and thrive. When renters know exactly what they're being charged and landlords are required to disclose fees up front, it strengthens trust on all sides. Transparency isn't just good policy, it's good governance. It creates predictability while preventing exploitation and ultimately makes our housing market fair for everyone. This ordinance didn't appear out of thin air. It came from the hard-fought voices and advocacy of renters, advocates, and community groups speaking up and demanding change. We're here today because every San Diegan organized, shared their story, and refused to accept that unfair fees are just part of the system. Community advocacy made this possible. We thank the council for taking this step toward housing justice. Let's continue to make San Diego a place where transparency, fairness, and dignity guide every policy decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Next up, we'll have who is our most important speaker of the morning, just to be totally frank about it. And it's the voice of someone who's been impacted by these issues. So I'll invite up next Susie Hurtado, an impacted resident from Southcrest.
Good morning. My name is Susana Hurtado, and I'm here to speak for behalf of my family and myself, and for countless renters across San Diego who've been pushed to the edge. We've lived in our home for almost 20 years. We've always paid our rent on time. We take great care of our home and had a good relationship with our landlord. When the January flood hit, we lost everything, and that's when things changed. When we tried to come back home, the landlord attempted to nearly double our rent and charge us a second security deposit. When I looked for legal advice to understand my rights, the tone shifted overnight. Suddenly, there were new fees, new demands, and new threats every month. Every message felt like another hit. We're honest, hardworking people, but the constant stress and fear started to take a real toll over my husband and myself, both emotionally and physically. It's exhausting to know you're doing everything that's right and still feel you're fighting to just stay in your own home. When you're already spending half of your income on rent and then told to pay another 10 or 15% in hidden fees, it becomes impossible to plan for groceries, utilities, and gas. You live in survival mode, never knowing what's coming next. As a disaster recovery case manager who has helped hundreds of renters, I know this isn't just our story. It's happening all over San Diego, where nearly 60% of renters are spending way more than a third of their income just to keep roofs over their heads. This ordinance is about fairness, peace of mind. It's about giving families a chance to breathe again and to live without fear of retaliation, surprising fees, or losing their homes. I'm here for my family and every family that deserves dignity, stability, and the right to live in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Appreciate you sharing your story. I think that's a great example of why this is so important. So I want to end by saying thank you to all of our speakers, Vice Chair Montgomery Steppe, our partners from Legal Aid and Alliance San Diego, and especially Susie for sharing your story with us. Your voices and expertise remind us why this is so important. I just want to kind of double down on what Susie just said. There's the financial cost, but I want to speak to the power imbalance as well. You have someone who's trying to make sure her kids can keep a roof over their heads and she can feed her family, and she has to weigh the consequences of battling it out to contest what are clearly unfair and unreasonable fees. I'm thinking about a conversation that one of our constituents had with one of our reps, where a person who'd been in their home for 6 years was suddenly asked to pay an additional $600 for the garage that's attached to their home. None of that would be okay for those of us who have a mortgage. It shouldn't be okay for renters. So this is an example of what's possible when we work together. The city and county are taking a coordinated approach to protecting renters and addressing the broader cost of living challenges that are affecting so many families here in San Diego. And when we align our efforts across jurisdictions, we can make real progress toward a more fair, transparent, and affordable San Diego. The goal of this partnership is super simple: to make housing fairer, clearer, and more stable for the people who live here. That's how we build a San Diego where everyone, regardless of income or background, can live with a sense of dignity and stability. I'll also note that this is the second time in a week that the city and the county are working together to protect San Diegans. We can do this when we come from a place of partnership and collaboration. So thank you again, Vice Chair Montgomery Steppe. I'm grateful to our county partners and our community advocates for their collaboration and commitment to protecting renters and improving transparency. Together, we can continue building a city and a region that works for everyone. Thank you all for being here.